Hello, everybody. We have to start punctually because we are retransmitting this online. We are broadcasting all the event. And well, now we will expect a little bit in order that everybody comes to the room, the virtual room, okay? And then we will start with the welcoming. Okay. Well. Okay, let's start. Welcome to the Col·legi of Economistes de Catalunya. Thank you for coming from part of our board. And well, today our degà no can be with us, and then she asked me to present from him and welcome everybody for the journey. Okay. Well, I really want to welcome all the institutions that are involved in this event. The New Club of Paris, of course, Acció, Accit, and Col·legi Economistes de Catalunya. We want also to welcome all the people that is seeing us from home, okay, and all the people that will meet after from home also probably, and look for the videos that we will make today. Okay, I think that it's very important for us to record all the event, because the level of the speakers is very high, and because I think that if we record all the message and presentations that we will share these days, then we can spread the message of the sustainable wealth creation abroad. Okay. Then, well, thank you very much again for coming to Barcelona. For the people who are in the event presentially, we know that it's an effort to come from abroad. For example, Elena that comes from Brazil, or people that come from Germany, United Kingdom, etc., Portugal, Lisbon. Okay. Thank you very much for doing the effort to meet here with us in Barcelona. Thank you very much. And now I give the word to Josep Maria Viedma to continue with the welcoming.
Oh, I don't have light here. Well, thank you very much for your presentation. I think I would like to say welcome to everybody, but that has been said by Julià. No? So I will try to give some words about what is the New Club of Paris. That is the institution that organizes that meeting. The New Club of Paris is an agenda developer for the knowledge economy. And the New Club of Paris aim is to support nations, regions, cities, and communities and organizations in their transformation into the knowledge economy. This is the main objective of the new Club of Paris. And for doing that, the new Club of Paris has different products. The first one is the Roundtable. There are 5 products: Roundtable, Leonard Award, IC Conference, NIC Valuation, and AXI. Of these 5 products, the more famous product that has the new Club of Paris is the IC, has been in the past, the IC Conference. Why the fall meeting that usually was the winter meeting? The fall meeting, or the meeting we had today here, has 2 parts. An internal meeting that's dedicated to the reflection on the future strategy of the new Club of Paris. That's what we have been doing this morning, and we have reflected on where we are now and which are our plans for the future, and we reflect on the strategy and we try to fix the strategy for the coming year. Apart from that, there is an open session, open to the general public, that is this session that we have now. The subject of discussion for the open session that we have, that the team of Barcelona is creating sustainable wealth in a global knowledge economy. We think that the purpose of the new Club of Paris, we like very much the main purpose of the new Club of Paris, that's to transform any society or economy into a knowledge-based economy or society. This, for us, is very important, and today's society needs really to do, if it wants to progress, this transformation. But the ultimate objective of moving towards the knowledge-based economy is to create wealth and to create sustainable wealth. So we consider that transforming an economy to a knowledge-based economy or digitalizing an economy is not enough. The ultimate objective of this transformation is to create wealth and to create value. It's for that reason that you have chosen as the central theme of the discussion this afternoon and tomorrow. We choose creating sustainable wealth in a global knowledge economy, thinking, and that the ultimate objective is for converting an economy into knowledge-based economy, or a society in a knowledge-based society, is to create wealth, or to create sustainable wealth. Now, I think that's all. I hope you will enjoy the conference today and tomorrow, and I leave the stage to Heloísa.
So, good afternoon, all. First of all, it's a great pleasure for us to be here today with such an interesting group of people, and not just here at the conference and this meeting of the fall meeting of the new Club of Paris, but also with our speakers that are here present today in person, but also those ones that are going to be joining us from abroad. It's such a pleasure and to have people from England, from Brazil, from Lithuania, from Portugal, from Japan, from Denmark, from France, and many other countries. And it's really a very rich opportunity to discuss such important subjects like sustainable wealth creation in a knowledge-based economy, and also in different sessions that we're going to discuss about new technologies, about ethics, like basis for this sustainable development, and many other discussions. No? So it's really a great pleasure to have you all here today, Professor Viedma, Julià, the Colégio de Economistas de Catalunya, and also the New Club of Paris in the person of Elena, the Vice President of the New Club of Paris, also Lina from the board, Waltraud, and also Stefan that is going to be joining online, the President, and everybody that made it possible that we are here today. Just a very big thank you to you all with gratitude. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we will give the word to Stefan online. Finally, Stefan couldn't meet us in person for her health situation. And well, please, Stefan, the word is yours.
Good afternoon, buenos dias. I hope you can hear me. Does it work from the sound?
Yes, we heard you.
Great, great. Yeah, I'm so sorry that I cannot be with you. It was all booked and all planned for Barcelona. I love the city. I would have really loved to come. But then the unfortunate virus, which is spreading again around, hit me, and I had to protect you all. So that is why I'm only online for today. On behalf of the New Club of Paris and as the current president of the New Club of Paris, I would like to give you a big thank you for organizing this. This is so important for our community that we have live events in present, where you can exchange each other, where you can generate new ideas. So let's give me and all the organizers involved, and also in addition, your college, a big thank you that you organized this event. I wish you fruitful discussions on the topic. I think the topic, you mentioned it, is more timely than ever. To look forward at the moment, we are mostly in a crisis-driven mode, also called pragmatism. But besides pragmatism, we need also some thinking forward, I think. And that is something which you will do here, where you organized a fantastic program. Congratulations on that. A lot of brain power is together with you. And I wish you a very fruitful conference. I will join online. I will also try to participate in discussions, and looking forward really now for the event rolling off. Thank you very much again.
Okay. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Josep Maria. Thank you, Heloísa. Thank you, everybody, to be here. Thank you for the institution. Thank you for the New Club of Paris. Thank you for Colegio de Economistas de Catalunya. Thank you for Acció. Thank you, Axist. And now we start the conferences. Then we will start the conference with a round table where coordinated by Josep Maria Viedma, with Rosario Cabrita, with Lina Uciene, and with Takayuki Sumita. Thank you very much. Sí, sí. We will proceed to put the microphone to any of the if you prefer this, is that okay? Okay, then it's not necessary to put the microphone. The very important thing is that when you show the presentation, you are here with a microphone. We need the microphone to record the
But for the questions and this is not practical.
is it's one of the requirements of the technology. We need microphone in order to record the sound. Sí.
Als wir are interested, this is trust test now. It's not all private.
Yes.
¿Lo de online?
Sí, para que todo el mundo les oiga, ¿vale? Entonces, ahora...
with the first session. That's the session that the title of the session is Creating Sustainable Wealth in the Global Knowledge Economy. Only a few words about that subject. Everybody knows that the countries that progress today, for example, like United States, Switzerland, or the developed countries, that they all embrace the knowledge-based economy. So to move to the knowledge-based economy, it's a necessary condition for economic growth and for progress and for economic development. But sometimes we are specialists on knowledge management and intellectual capital, we forget that to move to the knowledge-based economy is not an end in itself. The ultimate purpose is to create wealth, if you want, for a particular country, sustainable economic development. In that sense, that we have today, we have the chance to have three speakers, three first-class speakers, and one from Lithuania, the other one from Portugal, and the third one from Japan. Takayuki Sumita from Japan is really one of the world experts in, as you will see later on, in aspects of economic development and based on in a knowledge-based economy. And Rosario Cabrita and Lina Utiene are two experts on knowledge management, intellectual capital, and two pioneers, especially in the academic and practical point of view in intellectual capital management. So without any more general description, I will introduce Rosario Cabrita, that will be the first speaker today. Rosario Cabrita is an old friend of mine. I knew Rosario Cabrita in a congress, in the World Congress on Intellectual Capital and Innovation that was held in McMaster University in Hamilton, near Toronto. I remember that maybe it was in 2005. It was 2005, and I didn't knew her. We were sitting in the same table, and when arrived the time of awards, he was awarded as the first paper on intellectual capital management of the doctoral consortium. So since then, we have been friends and we have collaborated in different projects, and also we wrote a book together. She's a professor, full professor in the University Nova of Lisbon. And but Rosario, apart from being a professor or an academic, she is also at the same time a first-class practitioner, because she has worked in the banking system, in top positions, and in two foreign banks in Portugal. One was Citibank, and the other, which was what? Barclays and Lloyds. So, and he has a lot of experience, practical experience, and also he runs a business of his husband. No, He runs the business of his husband. Well, and I saw his first-class academic and practitioner, especially in the subjects of intellectual capital, knowledge management, and knowledge-based development. Rosario, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Professor Viedma, for your kind introduction, and thank you for carrying me in spiritual always as my guide in. I guess that it's not. Oh, it's here. It's that. No. Oh, okay, wait. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So let me to start by addressing my warm welcome to everybody, to this family, this new Club of Paris family. I'm very happy to be in presence. Also, let me to extend my warm welcome to those who are in online. And
just to share the
everything
is correct, but
everything is correct, but
you have to share the presentation in order that the people in home.
Okay, because
See.
online, that's right.
Only see
Okay, thank you. Well, to speak about sustainable wealth in a global knowledge economy, it's in this time, in our time, well, a request that we center we focus on main challenges we have to face today as individuals, as in organizations, as government, the main challenges in a turbulent global context. Well, to speak about wealth, sustainable wealth, is not only about money or accumulated profits. Today, we have to think, to expand our mind and to have another approach in order to include ecological and societal concerns. So, if we are speaking about sustainable wealth creation, we have to think mainly today about well-being. So well-being, it's crossing all our all the dimensions, not only economic, but also our responsibility with environment and our responsibility with society. So I start exactly with this slide that presents a global survey that was carried on by World Economic Forum, that it's about global risk perception. This is a survey that was administered to 12,000 country leaders, and for 124 countries. And we can see that at the top of concerns or risks expected for the next 10 years were mainly those that are related to environment, climate action failure, extreme weather, biodiversity loss. So this is call us in order to introduce in our business models, in our concerns in terms of economy, these questions about climate, about these concerns on environment dimension. So we know that it's the World Economic Outlook from October 22. Well, the IMF painted a downbeat picture of the global economic outlook. If we see this in terms of a group of countries, we see that it would have the severe consequences of the war in this group of countries. Well, the global growth, another perspective, it's that global growth is forecast to slow while global inflation is forecast to rise. So in this context, we see that we have a mutually amplifying downside risks that confronts the global economy. It means that sustainable wealth should be thought in terms of the first thing is to see the meaning and the principles of this topic. Well, if we cut this, or we divide, or we break the expression sustainable wealth in the knowledge economy, the first thing is to classify or define wealth as a measure of value of all assets owned by a person, a company, or a country. If it is sustainable, it means that the use of resources are in a way that is both efficient and responsible. And if we go on with knowledge economy, we can classify this topic as can be presented as a way of a society that it's committed to achieve both higher and sustainable economic growth through the application, the use, the production of knowledge. So if we expand the definition of wealth, we may say that sustainable wealth is the future benefit that sustains future life. It includes respect for the environment and empathy for others, for society. It's about creating value without destroying value. This morning, we spoke about destroying value, destroying intellectual capital in some countries. So sustainable wealth demands a better future for well-being. So we have to concentrate. We cannot forget that sustainable wealth is about well-being today. So in a knowledge economy, or a knowledge driven, or in the economy driven by knowledge, knowledge is effectively the sustainable growth. Knowledge is the heart and the mind of economic and social progress. And so if we produce and we use efficiently and responsibly, in the responsible way, this knowledge, we can drive, it's a driver of growth and sustainability. Sorry. Well, but we now will concentrate on economic sustainability. And economic sustainability, it's normally linked to sustainable competitive advantage. And what is competitive advantage or sustainable competitive advantage? Is a long-term strategy that allows business to remain ahead of its competitor, or it's the same to say that it lasts for a longer period of time. Well, sustainable competitive advantage is it's in a micro perspective. We can talk about what we have said, but there is an environment that favors or not, that inhibits or that promotes this sustainable prosperity. So, how can we attain or achieve national sustainable prosperity? So, World Bank trace or indicate 2 or 4 pillars: an educated and entrepreneurial population, the existence of a dynamic information system infrastructure, an economic and legislative environment that favors ITT, knowledge transfer, and entrepreneurship, the capacity to its industry to innovate and upgrade, and this may say that a national environment in which companies learn how to compete, because it's important to learn how to compete. So we can, some inspiration in some authors in terms of national prosperity. We can say that economic institutions are those that shape economic incentives, and then are also these kind of institutions that gives the incentives to become educated, to save and invest, and to innovate and adopt new technologies. This is important that these institutions, I want to emphasize that these institutions are critical for determining whether a country is poor or prosperous. It's the way. Another David Lanz that give this inspiration, this inspired reading. If we learn anything from the history of economic development, it is that culture makes all the difference. So culture is the glue that make together and with the same objective, that put us into the same road in order to attain the objective. Well, but also Michael Porter advises that, nations themselves do not compete. Rather, are the enterprises that compete, that create value in order to to create wealth. Wealth is actually created in microeconomic level of the economy. In this context, we say that entrepreneurial excellence would be the key of this wealth creation. And how in this today, we may say that entrepreneurial excellence, it means dual challenge. On one side, a higher rate of profit than that of the general industry, and also to respond to business, economic, social, and environmental issues with ethical responsibility. And social ethic and social responsibility. Well, to finish, and only to leave some roots for our discussion, we may say that on achieving excellence in the knowledge economy, we have the tools. On the operational decisions, in terms of operational side, we can say that we have well-structured in the knowledge management all the process that can help to attain this sustainable wealth. In terms of intellectual capital in strategic perspective, we have ways, we have tools in order to identify the bundle of intangibles that create value. So business excellence based on core competencies, core capabilities, intellectual capital will drive us to high performance level and value creation, sustainable wealth. Well, we could, in fact, expand this, but we have a short time in this situation, but we have tools and we have, in our community, we have all the opportunities, all the routes are open in order to think about how to create sustainable wealth in a so turbulent context. Thank you very much for your attention. No? Okay.
Thank you very much, Rosario, for your excellent speech that have been put in each the importance. You have highlighted the importance of the different concepts in the process of constructing wealth creation. Now we have the next speaker is Takayuki Sumita. Takayuki Sumita has a different profile from Rosario than the profile of Rosario Cabrita. Takayuki Sumita is not an academic, but he has contributed to the Academy with many articles and publications, and he has developed his career mainly in two very well-known institutions in Japan. One is called MITI, and the other one is called METI, M-I-T-I-M-E-T-I. Because that's MITI, Ministry of International Trade and Industry, and METI is Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. He has consequently, he has been general manager in some of the institutions in these two ministries, and has a vast experience in the public sector. But apart from that, he's really an specialist on knowledge-based development, intellectual capital, and knowledge management. When he retired in 2019, he was appointed as president and chief executive officer of Sumitomo Corporation Global Research Company. But apart from that, and especially for me, well, I forgot to say that, sorry. Apart from that career in MITI and METI, he has contributed to our community. And when I say our community is knowledge management, intellectual capital, knowledge-based development community, he has contributed with many very important contributions. One is he has been chairman of the World Intellectual Capital Initiative. That's one of the most famous initiatives in standardizing the reports. And also he has been board member of Future Center Alliance in Japan, and also board member of the New Club of Paris, and board member also of the integrated reporting. Maybe some of you know what is integrated reporting, but summarize all the Takayuki Sumita contributions to our community of knowledge management, intellectual capital, and knowledge-based development. Summarizing, he has contributed largely in the standardization of this process of control of knowledge, of intangibles, intellectual capital, and knowledge management, especially at the micro level. Well, and after this presentation, I give the word to Takayuki Sumita.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. May I start now? Okay.
Yes, we hear you now.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind introduction. My name is Takayuki Sumita. I'm now the executive officer in Sumitomo Corporation. At the same time, the president and CEO in Sumitomo Corporation Global Research. But as was introduced, I have long years worked for METI, Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, in many fields, including the innovation or knowledge management or intellectual property. That's why I'm one of the founding members of New Global Paris. And also I was the first chairperson of Wiki, or the Intellectual Capital Asset Initiative. And also I was reassigned as chairperson between 2019 and 2022 until July as a chairperson of Wiki. In today's discussion, I'd like to show you several points. The first one is, what is a sustainable wealth? And that is also related to the value creation or created value, or economics. In the case we say value, it may include economic, social, or environmental values. And also the wealth itself is very closely related to corporate value in the business. So I'd like to share some thoughts based on my experiences in many fields. And especially, first of all, I'd like to focus on the international standardization on sustainability-related information. Recently, there are mainly two approaches on the sustainability-related reporting. The first one is taken by the IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standard Foundation. The left-hand side, you can see that the structure of the company is a mechanism to create value based on many kinds of capitals or resources. And those resources or capitals as an input may be converted into the value through the business model or business activities. And among the many kinds of resources or capitals, integrated reporting framework picked up 6 capitals. This is so we call 6 capitals model, which include a financial capital, manufactured capital, natural capital, human capital, social relationship capital, and intellectual capital. And in our academic field, those 2 intangibles include, namely human capital, social capital, and intellectual organizational capital is called intellectual capital. But in the integrated reporting framework, they say human, social, and intellectual. In such a sense, intellectual capital is almost the same as organizational capital in academic terms. And those resources are converted into value or outcome through business model or business activities. And through the business model of activities, outputs may be produced in a direct manner, including some services or products. And those products and services will have some value or outcome. And business model, business activities itself creates some value to the public. And those outcomes or values will be converted into some impact to the economy or society and environment or nature. Those impact may come back again to the company. That comeback is shown as a yellow arrows in this chart. And those are deemed as the corporate value or enterprise value for investors mainly. And those aspects is truly focused in IFRS Foundation. And that's why they focus on those elements which may have some influence on corporate value or enterprise value as a sustainability-related financial disclosure. In such a sense, sustainability-related financial disclosure includes economic aspects or society or social aspect or environmental aspect of a company's activities or company's value created. But the borderline is drawn whether those impacts came back or assessed by mainly investors as corporate value or not. On the other hand, European approach includes or focuses more and more on the societal or environmental impact of companies, company activities. That's why in Europe, the standards for the sustainability reporting is now prepared, focusing on the company activities impact on economy, society, and environment. Regardless, those impact is coming back to the corporate value itself. So that's the biggest difference of these 2 approaches. And these 2 approaches, the main pillars of the current effort for the global standardization of sustainability-related information. And in the first pillar, as I mentioned, the IFRS Foundation, they have already presented a draft standard on sustainability-related disclosure in March this year. It requires 4 elements you can see in the right-hand side: governance, strategy, risk management, and metrics and targets. Those are the main elements of reporting related to the sustainability. For that purpose, IFRS Foundation, or more specifically speaking, ISSB, International Sustainability Standard Board prepared two types of standards. First one is a general requirement, and second one is a requirement for each theme. In the first stage, they presented a climate change related requirements. And these elements are quite well reflecting CDSB, TCFD, World Economic Foundation, or TCFD, SASB, or Integrated Reporting Framework, and so on. And the key aspect of the ISSB general requirements are like these. The main issues for investors to assess the enterprise value should be disclosed, including sustainability-related information. The focus is the enterprise value, and something which is quite closely related to the enterprise value when mainly investors assess the enterprise value should be disclosed, should be presented in the sustainability reporting. And also, companies need to disclose sustainability-related financial information at the same time of presenting financial statements. These are the main aspects of the ISSB's requirements. Then I'd like to focus on the wealth, value creation, and enterprise value. As I mentioned in the ISSB, standard enterprise value is very highly picked up. This is the outline of the integrated reporting framework, which was issued in 2013 and revised in 2021. This is a very simple chart of the integrated reporting. Integrated reporting framework has the same idea as I mentioned. There are 6 capitals as an input. Among those, there are some inputs, and business activities will make output and outcomes. And outcomes are mainly the values, and value will reflect to the 6 capitals. And also the business model and governance or purpose, mission, vision, together with the risk and opportunities and strategy and resource allocation, and performance and outlook should be reported. This is a very simple structure, focusing on the corporate value or outcomes as a created value. Of course, this includes the social value or environmental value and other values related to intellectual capital. And of course, as I mentioned, value creation, it also includes value preservation or value erosion over time. I have been very heavily involved in this process of creating this integrated reporting framework. And in the integrated reporting framework, as I mentioned, value creation and enterprise value is focused. And that is understood, as I mentioned in the previous slide. And also that is very well reflected in sustainability-related financial disclosure, which was picked up by ISSB. And then what is the enterprise value? This is the very key question. The definition of enterprise value proposed by ISSB this year was market capitalization plus net debt. It is true that these are the focus of investors. But on this definition, METI commented to the ISSB. And I'm also one of the members of the METI's research group on non-financial disclosure as one of the members of the Sumitomo Corporation. And I also made a lot of input to these comments. And the comment says that enterprise value reflects the assessment of investors concerning economic, social, and environmental values created or eroded by companies in the short, middle, or long term, taking into account of capital costs. This is a key aspect of the enterprise value. In the past, certainly, enterprise value was thought to be an economic value, or just the cash flow in the future, discounted by by a certain rate. But nowadays, also, even for the investors, enterprise value includes some economic, social, or environmental values created in the future. And that's why nowadays the enterprise value has a very good combination or collaboration with sustainable value or sustainable wealth. That is a very big point, which was pointed out by METI to the ISSB. I don't know how this comments is reflected in the final draft of ISSB concerning the sustainability-related financial disclosure, but this is one of the essence of the today's discussion, maybe sustainable wealth or sustainable value. And then, what is the origin of the value? We believe that this is some abstract of the Wiki's Intangible Reporting Framework, which was issued in September 2016. In this framework, we have proposed that the relationship between intangibles or intellectual capital related issues. In the academic area, intellectual capital includes organizational capital, human capital, and relational capital. It includes a lot of elements, as you can see in the right-hand diagram. And as you can see in the left-hand chart, human capital, organizational capital, and relational capital has a big overlap. In some cases, those three are overlapped to a certain element. Some human elements may be some nature of relational capital, and also if that is inside the organization, that's one of the organizational capital. So maybe the human capital is central, but as long as it is inside the organization, those kind of human-related capital may be deemed as an organizational capital. And these three capitals is the biggest origin of value creation. And also these elements is one of the origin of the differentiation of the business model of each company or each enterprise. And that is, again, I'd like to stress that such kind of value created by utilizing these company-specific capital may be the origin of the sustainable wealth or sustainable future. And this is just information for you. Wiki has a lot of activities in this kind of international standard creation process. For example, in 2021, last year, Wiki Global made a lot of input to the IFRS Foundation or FLAG and the European Commission. And also now we have a very good contact with ISSB, which was established in November last year. And also Wiki Japan has sent somebody as a board member to VLF and now ISSB. And so in such a sense, we have contributed a lot to this kind of international standardization. But if I repeat, the biggest issue is the relationship with the value creation of enterprise value, and not the sustainable matter themselves. As long as it is one of the elements of the value creation, those sustainability-related information or those sustainability-related elements is quite important. And maybe only in those cases, sustainability-related elements may lead to the sustainable wealth through the company's activities. Then, what is the sustainable wealth? Creating sustainable value or value creation in a sustainable manner, or organizational sustainability of value creators, enterprises, or in some cases, living love is the one of the origin of the sustainable wealth. And in the FCAJ, Future Center Alliance Japan, living love is one of the focus of our activities. And also, another aspect is the circular society or circular economy. Circular economy or circular society is one of the representative of the sustainable wealth. So in the FCAJ, we are now have some project for realizing circular society. And another issue is that the creating sustainable wealth means the current value or future value, or a currently created value or created value in the future. Maybe many people believe that sustainable value, sustainable wealth means the future value created in the future in a sustainable manner, and lead to the sustainable world or sustainable economy and sustainable society. So this element is forgotten. Even in the integrated reporting framework, there's one part, only the one set of resource business model value. But if we more precisely describing the company activities, maybe there are 4 parts. The first one is the corporate philosophy of purpose, part A. The part B is as is. From the past to present. From the past to present, each company has its own business model, which utilizes their own resources and creating their own value. And right-hand side, part C, represents the future, to be in 2000 something. In the future, companies have some vision of what kind of value they like to create. Then to create those values, what kind of business model is needed, and for the business model, what kind of resources they need to utilize, their own resources or in the collaboration with other companies. Then they can make it clear what is the strategy to realize the goal in 2000 something in the part B. This is so we call backcasting. So in such a way, this sheet is created by the Cabinet Office Japan in 2018 when I was Secretary General for the Intellectual Property Strategy Headquarters. And this will show the basic strategy of the business management. And that's why we call it business management design sheet. And by utilizing this kind of sheet or tool, we can more and more simply describe what is the value created by the company in the future, and to what extent that is related to the sustainable wealth, or in what way, through what business model those kind of values created, and what is the main resources for that. Of course, as I mentioned, the core part of these resources, intangibles or intellectual capitals. That's my idea on the sustainable wealth and how to make it clear in the standard, in the international standards of companies' activities related to creating sustainable wealth. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tucker has been really very interesting and exciting presentation. I personally like very much your personal contribution on the development of standards, especially the wiki that probably you have contributed with my friend Stefano Zambon, and also the integrated reporting. I think these are the two standards that I really appreciate, and you have been really excellent in your presentation describing the contributions to wealth creation and value creation of these standards. So now be connected, because at the end of the three presentations there will be the questions, and so please be connected.
If everybody wants to make questions to Takayuki.
No, at the end. Okay. Yeah. Well, now we will start with the third presentation, and the third presentation is the Lina tiene presentation. Lina tiene. I knew Lina Utiene many years ago, I think maybe in Santarém, is that correct? In Santarém, yeah, and in Santarém in Portugal, and I think we were sitting together in the same table. I don't remember which when it was that. It was in 2006 or 2007, something like that. And then since then, we have been collaborated and coincide in many conferences. I think that conference was the ECKM conference. And since then, we have been in touch. We coincide in different conferences and congresses. All of the conferences and congresses to our community, intellectual capital, knowledge management, and knowledge-based development. Lina Utiene is an associate professor of the School of Economics and Business in Kaunas University of Technology. She conducts scientific research and delivers courses of IC, intellectual capital management, strategic management, digital organization management, business valuation, etc. But for me, that is especially relevant is that he probably is the only professor that teaches in a systematic way intellectual capital management, because unfortunately, I don't know what happens, but there are very few professors that teach in a systematic and organized way in master courses, intellectual capital management. Since 2015, he got a PhD degree in management and business administration. And also, she is one of the coordinators of Open University Research Cluster at the university. That's especially relevant because innovation and entrepreneurship are the key issues for economic development in the knowledge-based economy. But there is also maybe more important than what I have described is that research activities focus on national policy making based on effective management of intellectual capital resources and the development of innovation-oriented infrastructures. That, for me, I believe that is very important because our activities focused on national policy, but making based on effective management of intellectual capital resources and development of innovation-oriented infrastructure. That is, for me, quite, I think is quite relevant. He's also doing research in digital transformation. The digital transformation is the last fashion that everybody talks, but very few know what exactly it is. What is the ultimate objective of digital transformation? That in many cases, the digital transformation has no specific objective at all. She is member of different institutions, the Baltic Management Development Association, International Association of Knowledge Management. Here in the room, we have the Vice President of this association. Knowledge Management for Development is an institution that belongs to the World Bank. And especially he's a member and is in the board of the new club of Paris. Many publications, many articles, and especially on his main subject, that's knowledge and intellectual capital management. So the floor is yours later. Time if you want to have an hour, otherwise there will be many questions. It will be very
It's not so long.
This one?
Yes. How could we move this a bit? Oh, we can do this way. Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, somebody here. Okay. So much. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Dear Professor Josep Maria Viedma, Rosario, I'm really grateful for such a nice introduction. I'm delighted to stand here and to discuss with you those issues and to meet such a honorable audience. My name is Lina Ujiene. Professor told a lot about me, but today I represent New Club of Paris and Kaunas University of Technology, School of Economics and Business. And if shortly, I do focus on different issues in my scientific research, but my recent research covers issues of digital transformation and digital technologies. And today, as we are discussing about the wealth creation in knowledge economy, I want to focus on the impact of digital transformation on the whole socioeconomic system we live in, and to invite you to look at this issue from a bit more systemic approach. So I will not focus, it's not changes for some reasons. So how could it change? Oh, okay. I will not share with you my scientific research. We do different surveys and investigations with our foreign partners in a global scale on how progressive we are in terms of digital transformation. on where is the success in digital transformation and where is the failures. But today I want to focus on digital transformation as, you know, Europe treats itself and see the competitive advantage of the European Union in terms of digital transformation, and see digital transformation as a background for competitive advantage. Not only in Europe, but also globally, lots of organizations, regions, and cities try to measure how successful they are in terms of digital transformation. If we take a look at all the strategic documents, like let's say European Commission's priorities, or European industrial strategy, or Europe's digital decade, and Europe's targets for 2030, you will see that digital transformation is perceived as a background, as a basis for competitive advantage. And we do have a lot of indicators measuring this success, such as Digital Economy and Society Index, such as, let's say, European Index of Digital Entrepreneurial Systems, such as World Digital Competitive Ranking by IMD, and Digital Platform Economy Index, and etc., etc. But when we take a look deeper in those indicators, yes, we measure success, we measure progress, we measure the aspects how good we are in digital transformation. But unfortunately, you can hardly find issues related with the dark side of this issue and related with the hidden factors that are very important for our society and economy as a whole. Let me demonstrate you one example. Let's take a look at Digital Economy and Society Index. Here we measure human capital, connectivity, integration of digital technologies, and digital public services. How good are we in consuming those services? We do compare countries, each with another. We measure how big is the growth in the index. We do different analysis, and we are happy when, let's say, Lithuania, my country, it's above the European Union, and we are happy about the result. But let's take, you know, at the sub-indexes and at the indicators that are involved in this type of indicators. How many of them cover issues of sustainability? You can hardly find any of them. In terms of human capital, we see some indicators showing how good our society is in terms of skills to use digital technology. In terms of digital public services, you can see that they calculate the percentage of society using digital public services. So at some point, it shows how equal rights and how equal are possibilities to use digital technologies. And I found very interesting indicator under the integration of digital technologies. It's I want to say it's correctly. How should I take this off somehow? Okay, it's ICT for environmental sustainability, which is measured by percentage enterprises having medium high intensity of green action through ICT. So here is something about sustainability. But let's move forward and let me emphasize the issues I want to share with you today. For some reason, it doesn't change the slides. I don't know. How could we solve this issue? It doesn't change. Just to move to the second slide. So it's red, so it's not left. It's digital technologies, you know, but it's so how could we do this? Oh, okay, but it's then it's somehow hidden the titles. If you would take a look at scientific research in digital transformation, here you see the chart on the left side on the average number of academic papers developed on digital transformation during last 2 decades. And we see a huge increase in those academic research and studies. Here you see the map, which is drawn based on a Scopus database in regards what aspects are investigated in connection to digital transformation. And we see lots of technologies, lots of strategy issues, management issues, and we have one small bubble, sustainability, that blue one here in the corner, which shows that we try to grasp the somehow analyzing interplay between digital transformation and sustainability, but it's definitely not enough. So it's here. It doesn't change again. So okay, it's moved somehow. I don't know how it works, but of course, we do focus on sustainability in Europe and globally, and we have, of course, sustainable development goals, and in all the strategic documents like priorities of European Commission or European Green Deal and under this SDGs, we do focus on sustainability. But why I am making this introduction and why I am mentioning this, I want to invite you to take a look. Could you hide this? Okay, it's not possible to manage.
There you go.
So it's not just okay. I will invite you to look at those 2 dimensions, digital transformation and sustainability in a complex way. No? We do have research, let's say, on green technologies, which is somehow green digital technologies, which is somehow on the interplay of those issues. We do have research on ethics of digital transformation. We do have research on data security issues and on the consequences of artificial intelligence. There are lots of fragmented studies made on the interplay of those 2 categories, but it's definitely not enough, you know? I'll demonstrate what I have in mind saying that it's not enough, but I just want to make sure that you understand that I do not focus on the digitalization of SDGs, but I look broadly, I look at the impact of digital transformation, and I focus on sustainable digital transformation and sustainable digitalization. It doesn't work again. Okay, I'll try manage with this. So, you know, sometimes we have such situation when we focus only on the efficiency, only on excellence in digital transformation. We do not see some hidden effects that are behind digital transformation. And here is a good picture I found simply on the internet. When we do focus so much on this fashionable category, we sometimes simply cut the branch of the tree we are sitting on, because there are lots of hidden factors that are not taken account under this interplay between digital transformation and sustainability. I want to give you an example. Sometimes we see a technology as a panacea. Like if we are digitalized, so we are more efficient, we have faster growth, and so on. But give digital technology to an evil government and think about what could happen. So it's not about the technology, it's about how we use technology, for what purposes. Think of cyber crimes for a moment. Think of military power and governments having digital technologies. Think of propaganda, which is also somehow, the consequence of using social networks and digital technology. Think of income inequality at some point, because not everybody has the same access to digital technology and not everybody has the same skills to use digital technology. Think of autocracies and digital technology in the hands of autocratic leaders. And think of platform monopolies, even in business, those who have power, those who have digital technologies. Usually the gap between the income among those using the products and running those platforms, the gap is increasing, and the inequality in income is increasing. So technology and digitalization is not a panacea if we look at the issue from a much broader perspective, having in mind sustainable wealth creation. What else I want to highlight? Here, the role of institutions is important. What we see right now in Europe and globally, we see falling trust in institutions, unfortunately. Yes, institutions have tools, but they are humble to move forward right now. Think of new technologies that disrupt all solutions provided by institutions. Think of fintech in terms of banks. Think of blockchain. So these are disrupting digital technologies, changing the way how we look at institutions and how institutions deliver wealth to society. Do we trust the new solutions? Trust building takes time. And trust is really important here, trust in institutions. Distrust of institutions is very dangerous, because when people lose trust in institutions, strong leaders and dictators come to power. So in terms of digital transformation and wealth creation, the role of institutions is very important. What we learned from pandemic during the last decade, systems are not inclusive by themselves. Systems must work for everyone. What we saw during pandemic, we saw that everyone could work remotely, as we discussed during the coffee break, but not everyone had access to skills or to digital technology. How many children were left without education just because they couldn't use those technology or simply hadn't that technology? How many patients during COVID were left without health services because they simply did not have to connect remotely to the services? And it's about digital transformation. And when assessing the progress of digital transformation, a systematic approach is required. This is why I invite to look at those two phenomena together. What else? What else is important in this interplay between those two categories? We need more open public institutions. Let me give you an example. COVID has given a lot of data and revealed a lot about how human model works. what we do in this type of situation. But we need more discussion on that. You know, it's not enough just to issue the requirement to wear masks. Discussion about that is required, and transferring knowledge to society. Why do we do this, and what we have in mind? We don't have policemen for global challenges. What we see right now, many business companies, they simply pass this issue to the governments, but governments can't always afford to focus on it. Survival comes first, followed by sustainability. In some situations, unfortunately, we have this. What else is important in this interplay in terms of sustainable wealth creation? We should focus on human centricity. Human-centered digital transformation is required. We are happy about the push in technology. We did have Industry 4.0. Right now we discuss on Industry 5.0. But what does it mean for, let's say, employment, income inequality, for meeting the needs of society, such as education, healthcare, etc.? These are the hidden factors that are very important when we plan initiatives in digital transformation, and when we look at this from a broader perspective. We have to be focused on human centricity in digital transformation, and SDGs are a very good background for that start. I also want to mention the role of universities here. In what terms? If you want to achieve a result, you have to talk about it. In a vacuum, people find something to believe in. They see random things and jump to conclusions. And we had a situation in case of 5G and different fears related with 5G, the new solutions of digital technology. And this is also how propaganda works. And universities play an important role in explaining technological changes and educating society at some point. We need opinion leaders. Opinion leaders are important. And what I really like from the New Club of Paris and from Professor Noboru Kono, who is a board member at the club, the idea to focus on entrepreneurs. It's a new term. It's not entrepreneurs, it's not intrapreneurs, but those are leaders who cross the boundaries of organizations, who look at the vision and the future of society, who bring people, who bring resources in order to implement challenging advanced projects important for the future. So we need this type of initiatives and we need this type of people. Professor Viedma mentioned, and he is focusing in his research on entrepreneurial excellence, and Rosario mentioned it today. I want to say that in the interplay between digital transformation and sustainability, the role of entrepreneurship is also very important, and the role of startups. What technologies would you invest in your city? Or maybe in art, not at all? Before investing in startups, find out how they measure impact, how they measure social impact, how they measure ecological impact, and don't fund startups that don't solve global challenges, you know? So I truly believe that entrepreneurship is like a blood for ecosystem, you know, helping to move forward. But through entrepreneurship, we could solve some issues, supporting those taking care of the impact and not funding those who are just selfishly moving forward. And I want to end up my presentation with 6 paintings. I hope you see them here. These are paintings by the most famous Lithuanian artist and composer, Mikalojus Konstantinas Čiurlionis. He's such a long composer, like in Finland we have Sibelius, for example. His paintings are very complex. Take a look at, let's say, the first one. It's called Creation of the World. Every detail in those paintings is important. Those paintings were painted more than 100 years ago. Take a look. Do you see a king sitting on a globe? And behind the king, there is one more king with the crown sitting in a chair. And you see day and light and lots of detail, and there is meaning behind every detail. But behind every painting, there is a symphony, because he was a composer. And right now in Kaunas, Kaunas is the 2nd largest city in Lithuania. And by the way, Kaunas is European Capital of Culture this year. All of you are welcome to come to Kaunas this year, use this opportunity. We have Čiurlionis Art Gallery. And in that art gallery, you can express Čiurlionis in a very unexpected way. Not only take a look at the pictures, but also like a small photo there. You can watch a VR film with VR glasses and go and take a walk, among 60 paintings of Čiurlionis, listening to his pieces of music, to different symphonies. Why I demonstrate this example and why I refer to Čiurlionis, this is an excellent example how we use digital technology, meaning digitalization of our heritage. And it's really impressive. Everybody who comes to Kaunas, they use this opportunity and they enjoy very much. With these 6 paintings, you can find, of course, music on the internet and pictures. With these paintings, think of digital transformation in the way how Čiurlionis developed his paintings. Think of every detail, but listen to symphony behind the process you are implementing. This is a very good example how we should look at the interplay between digital transformation and sustainability. So with this slide, I want to end my presentation. I want to invite you focus not only on technological solutions, not only on the challenges and competitive advantage based on digital transformation, but see also those hidden factors, those hidden, sometimes dark side of this process, and when make decisions, so take this in mind. Everybody is welcome to Kaunas this year, and thank you very much for listening. And I hope it raised you some ideas, questions to think, and you will see in the future at this interplay in a bit more systemic way. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Lina. Very inspiring presentation. Now, I still we have 15 minutes left, no? Yes. So that we will continue the session with questions, and maybe we'll first start with if any of you wants to ask some question to the others or not, or to Taka, or Taka wants to ask something to us, or no? No? I will ask you a question, Lina. I was thinking when we talk about digital transformation that, in fact, this is a very dynamic process, you know, that in fact, what in practice occurs is what we call the creative destruction of Schumpeterian creative destruction. A new technology, we don't know exactly what will be the final results. It's very difficult to know a prioristically what will happen, with the effects will be the digitalization. For example, when a company invents a new system, for example, Amazon, that's a new business model that kills the classical bookshops, and this is a process very hard for some businesses and for some people. They have left these people behind, you know, and it's very difficult to know in advance what will be the consequences of these new inventions of the new technology. So I think, but as far as we know, what do you think about that?
Yeah, the world is really unexpected and changing a lot, and you never know what is around the corner. But as we discussed, you know, today in our internal meeting of New Club of Paris, we have to look forward and try to forecast the life in front of us.
Yeah.
Because yes, it's painful. Yes, we have lots of disruption, but we somehow have to mitigate this risk, you know,
Yeah,
at least to think about that and to spread the knowledge, to you know, educate the society. Because we have situation like with Musk we have in Ukraine right now. Some business people are dictating some situations. One day they say one thing, another day support another country, but society has to be educated enough to understand what does it mean, you know, to understand the impact of fake news. When they elect governments and they vote, they have to do this responsibly. And we have to educate society what is the impact of digital transformation. Because when we focus only on business companies, it's what I want to raise one more question and forward that question to you is, I see a big difference, you know, between value and wealth. And we discussed with Alexis before. Value for stakeholders mentioned by Takayuka, it's one way, but wealth created for society, it's another thing, you know, and sometimes we use those terms interchangeably if they are the same. No, business value is business value, and wealth for society, for the whole system, for the world we live in, it's completely different, you know. So how you treat wealth and value, and what would be your position on that? Because it's quite different, and we sometimes do not take into account the terms we use, you know.
Yeah.
So such agenda setters, you know, like New Club of Paris, institutions, they should take care of the wealth creation in society, not only on value for business, value for some particular professional communities or whatever. So this is our target, you know, and this is our task to spread the knowledge, you know.
In fact, the financial community, for example, if you have a look of Morningstar, that is one of the main website for distinguish, for example, investment funds, two types of investment funds, value and growth. And in the middle is blend. No, that's between value and growth. So it's that distinction. But it's not that in the sense that you are talking.
Yeah, but speaking about investment at company level, starting from startup to large corporations, and ending with public investments, this is the tool for taking care of the outcome of what is going on in the world. So why not to have new measures in the business plans, for example, measuring what's your impact on society, how you contribute to wealth creation, and through investment we could at least, you know, control or manage this a bit. Of course, it's
sorry, because I would like another. Thank you very much. I would like to ask a question to Taku also.
Yeah, I will do so.
Please.
Gunther speaking here. Taki,
to connect with Taku. Yeah,
I'm
thank you very much for your speech. I would like to ask you two questions. The first question is,
okay, I'm out.
What is the situation? The audience.
I think you have to allow for the audience as well. Okay, sorry for that.
No, because we have plenty of time, I think, no?
Yes, we have not so much time, 5 minutes. No, 5 minutes.
So let me ask briefly, no?
Yeah.
You have the privilege of age.
Well, no, as you want, Gunther.
We shouldn't fight.
Later on.
We shouldn't fight for that. Well, I had problems with the title of this conference when we are talking about sustainable wealth, what is meant by wealth. And I thank very much, that you addressed the point between wealth and value. And this is what I would like to ask Taki, because your last transparency was very inspiring to me, because you said very humbly that it's your personal perception that the direction between a resource, business model and value, as was in the past, has been turned around. And now we are starting from values and then go for business models and then only ask for the resources. I would like you to explore a little bit more on that, because I think if we are not able as a community to have a good understanding what the values of society in the future will be, we will tomorrow discuss about the ethics, but I would like to hear a little bit more about your position in that, turning around the sequence, turning it from value to resources.
Thank you very much. It's a very, very good question. I mean, that is one of the most important elements hidden in that arrow. I mean, in the past, especially in 20th century, every products or services may be accepted by customers or consumers. In such a sense, supplier side lead the market. In such a situation, every new products and new technology is well accepted by customers or consumers, then it may create value. But in 21st centuries, as the notion of SDGs, one of the representative, in such a situation, some kind of sympathy is needed to create value. So a business needs to design a very good value, which is shared by consumers or customers, is needed first. In the past, suppliers start from their own resources. But in the 21st century or in the future, companies need to start from the value itself, which can attract many people's sympathy. So that's why companies need to design first the value itself, which many of which is closely related to the SDGs concept. Then they can craft some business model to realize that kind of value. And after that, they combine the resources needed to such kind of business model realized. That the idea of the hidden idea under the direction of the arrows.
No. Any other question? No? You? No. Taka, I would like to ask you that you know perfectly, because the post you have in the integrated reporting, what happens in practice in the integrated reporting? How many implementations are worldwide? Is a successful framework and a standard? What is going now with the integrated reporting? And I would like to know also what happens. The same question for the wiki. No, what happens with the wiki?
Okay, thank you very much. Concerning the integrated reporting framework, more than 3,000 or 4,000 companies in the world have already published the integrated report. Among those, more than 700 companies, listed companies, has made an integrated report in Japan. So in such a sense, so many companies has already adopted the integrated reporting framework, and also the quality of the integrated reports are now improving, focusing more and more on the value creation mechanism of the company, combined with the tangibles and intangibles elements, including intellectual capital. So more sophisticated explanation is now going in the area of integrated reporting. In addition to that, nowadays, the international sustainability standard is to be planned. So I hope that this kind of implementation of the integrated reporting framework should be the basis of the new international standard related to sustainability. And in the wiki side, wiki has a very close relationship with integrated reporting or other organizations like European Union. But as I mentioned, the standard which will be ready in Europe and ISSB is to some extent different. So wiki's function is to connect with those in terms of intangibles or intellectual capital, because as I mentioned, value created is mainly coming from the intellectual capital of the company. So both sides, European side has some focus on intellectual capital or intangibles, and International Sustainability Standard Board has also focused on the value created. That's why the intangibles or intellectual capital can connect those two. That's why wiki is more and more put an eye on by those international standard setters.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, please? No?
Here.
Yeah.
Yes, Elena. Can you see me?
Yes,
Can you hear
Elena.
me? Yes. First, congratulations for the panel. It was excellent, excellent. And I have to comment that Lina's presentation reminds me a lot of Leif de Vincent's presentation with the images and with much more questions than answers. You gave us a lot of food for thought, a lot of questions. But I have a question here for the two ladies here. And it has to do with our gender equality agenda. First of all, I would like if you could speak a little about Portugal, what is going on. It's a totally different country if you compare Portugal, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years ago with digitalization, and especially if you could comment on the labor market, how Portugal is dealing with digitalization and the future of the work. And Lina, if you could comment on digitalization, if you see a gender bias on digitalization. I think in some aspects it's showed in your presentation that the pool, there is some numbers about the women and IT sector and things. So that's my questions for you both.
Okay. Thank you very much, Elena, for your question and for your inspiration for going on in this round table. So in Portugal, I feel that we progress a lot, but well, we have a long way in order to make this well, not something that it's mandatory, because I know that in some countries, for instance, we don't have for a committee in a tribunal for PhD, for instance. I know that it should be equal members of different gender. Now we are implementing this in my university. So if we have a jury for a PhD, normally we have, well, if it is something that it's more, because I'm in the Faculty of Science and Technology for Engineering. So we have mostly men in the juries. So we are now taking care of this, and well, it doesn't, we have to monitor this situation in order to put equal numbers and number of gender. In terms of digitalization for in terms of the labor market, I guess that the pandemic, we have learned with pandemic, not only in terms of the access to technology, but also in terms of conscience that if we can stay home, we can contribute to some ecological issues in terms of, well, the pollution. And it's, I feel that we are much more aware of these critical issues, critical concerns in this, after the pandemic. And I guess that in the future, we will try to go. There are other situations because Portugal has been in the last year, well, as an incubator of many people that come abroad and, well, stay there for working online with good weather and cheaper cost.
And mainly less taxes, no?
Yeah.
We in Spain, we have
Yes.
more taxes
So
than in
I guess
Portugal.
that it's also important for us to share this kind of other cultures and well, think that it's possible to do best with less resources. So it's I would like before Lina intervene, I would like to ask you, as professor in your university, because I felt very interesting. You say that we have to support startups, but you have to see it's sole and global challenge.
If they solve those challenges.
In our university, because
sorry, but Julián said that the time
just
we have to
briefly.
finish.
Okay, just briefly.
Yeah. Maybe Lina wants to say briefly something.
Briefly.
Okay.
Thank you for the excellent question. First of all, about Lithuania and about digital transformation. Right now, we did a huge survey on the progress of digital transformation in 7 areas of organization, mostly SMEs, because majority of companies in Lithuania and in Europe are SMEs. And we compared Lithuania as a growing young country with Germany, which is the birthland of Industry 4.0 and so on. We used the same tool, colleagues from Germany and we in Lithuania, and we compared different issues. That was qualitative research. And, at the end of the day, we were so surprised because expectation was that, Germany will be ahead of Lithuania, and so on and so on. And I will not focus on particular areas or indicators, but what we found out that energy of managers of Lithuania companies, they are much more involved in digital transformation, in transforming business model, implementing digital business model, in terms of strategy, developing digital strategies for their companies. And the result was that we couldn't even somehow explain that aspirations of Lithuanian managers are quite ahead of Germany. So we did a huge job on explaining this gap. And right now we are developing a publication on the comparison of those two countries. But where is the reason? The reason maybe is Lithuania is still feels hunger in doing more, overcoming challenges, following the prosperous countries, better performing countries in Europe. They still feel that they have to do a lot. In terms of German managers, they are quite happy about their situation. They more or less want to keep stable businesses, and it's much less aspirations to change something and to implement digital technologies. And surprisingly, there are lots of bureaucracy. For example, in Germany, if you want to transform your business model, so you have lots of trade-offs. You have to fire some people, you have to make changes, but the law protects people in the companies. They are not so flexible like Lithuanians. We do have a big blockchain center. We do perform fantastic in fintech. So maybe because we still feel hunger and still feel the need to show the context or other countries that we do. But I want to get back to women's issue one moment, okay? Just we do have, of course, the statistic is not so good in Lithuania because in percentages of women employed in ICT is, of course, less women working in the sector. The salaries of women in ICT compared to men's are lower. but we do have a
Really,
lot
you
of
have to
initiatives
finish,
such as, Women Go Tech, such lots of public initiatives to help women to change their professional way and to help them learn new things and integrate in this field. And one more initiative we have right now, it's a perfect time for women to join the boards of the corporates, because, before that, the majority of the boards in the companies were, mostly men. Right now, they simply, according to the law in Lithuania, they simply have to have women. So it's our time right now. But maybe I would say we feel really energetic about women positions in ICT sector and about digital transformation overall. But of course, we have to talk more about the hidden effects on, let's say, families at the end of the day, when the woman, involve herself fully into the professional activities and about the other issues. But yeah, we are, in terms of indicators and statistics, Baltic states, especially Estonia, it's even more progressive. E-country, e-residency, visa, whatever, everything in terms of FIBOT. But yeah, if I answered the question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lina. Thank you very much, Rosario. Thank you very much, Taka. You have done a great work. You have worked a lot, and you prepare in a few days first-class presentations. I received the abstract on time and also the CV. So excellent. Many thanks to all of you for a work extraordinarily well done.
Thank you
And
for
thank you all of
moderation.
you. Thank you very much.
Tienen que cambiar los minutos para... Necesitamos micros.
Sí, con cuidado, apagaos.
Well, thank you, everybody. Well, now we will start the roundtable about institutions and the importance of knowledge institutions for creating sustainable wealth creation. Okay, then the table is, I will present the people of the table because I have received the bios, but Elena don't have the bios. I was not in the loop. And then I will present shortly, briefly, the people. Okay. First, I will present Joan Romero. Joan Romero Circuns is Executive Director of Acció, the Catalonia Trade and Investment of the Government of Catalonia. Okay. Well, he holds a degree in economics. You are welcome to your home. Well, has been Master in Operation Management and Diploma DAF in Operation and Innovation, both from ESADE. Also, he was Professor of Spanish and World Economy in the University of Barcelona. He worked in banking and strategy consultancy before joining Acció. Under the, well, he was, now is Chief Executive Officer of Acció for a long time. Under his leadership, Acció has been named the Investment Promotion Agency, IPA, of the year in the Financial Times Group FAD Strategy Awards. Also has participated in the presentation on several public plans, the Catalan Agreement of Industry, several research and innovation plans of Catalonia, and the Catalan Agreement of Research and Innovation, as well as a number of strategic plans in Acció. He has also been responsible for editing the annual reports on research and development in Catalonia, as well as the annual innovation barometer, and has participated in different analyses of the competitive situation of Catalonia in the international context, including OECD, reviews of regional innovation in Catalonia and Catalonia in the world competitiveness. Thank you, Joan, to be here today. Okay. Well, also I will present Mr. Pere Regull. Pere Regull has an extensive professional career occupying leading positions in distinguished companies and institutions. During the first half of his professional career, he was involved in the paper of packaging industry, and he managed business divisions and commercial subsidiaries in Spain and outside Spain, particularly collaborating for Torras Papel Lecta and for the Portuguese group INAPA. In the second half of his professional career, he is leading centers dedicated to research and innovation or higher education, and present MD Corporate and Operations of Leitat Technological Center, which develops technological innovation for industries of diverse economic sectors. Previously, he was CEO of the Institut Químic de Sarrià, a higher education center, member of the Ramon Llull University, which delivers undergraduate, graduate, and PhD official programs in the fields of science, engineering, and business management. He also has been involved in private equity in simulating industrial and science-based entrepreneurship. He holds a PhD in chemical engineering, a Master of Science in Chemistry, and a Master of Business Administration. Thank you, Pere, for being here today. Okay, sorry, in Roger, I don't found your biopic, okay, but I can present my friend Roger as a great professional in the innovation ecosystem of Catalonia, working for several times for several years in CERCA. The CERCA contains or manage or help to about more than 40 research centers in Catalonia. And before doing this great public service, he has been an entrepreneur in the area of gaming. Okay, he's very, very knowledgeable about things like 3D or metaverse. Okay, and now I think it's a plus for you. Okay, thank you very much, Roger, for being here today. Okay, and last but not least, then Elena, please present yourself a little bit more than I know your curriculum, because I know that you are Vice President of the New Club of Paris. Of course, you are senior economist of the BN, the Brazilian Bank of Development. Well, he is also a woman in terms of knowledge economy, innovation, and intellectual capital.
Thank you very much for introduction. It's the first time that I met you, so thank you very much for being here. I think the introduction was great about your bio, and what I would like to do here as a coordinator is maybe put some questions here. But I know that you're going to present the institutions, but maybe we could think about it because it's something that interests us. So the name of our panel here is Knowledge-Based Development Institutions. And I don't know if you have the opportunity to see the first panel, but we talked a lot about institutions. And the conclusion is institutions matters and matters a lot. So let's talk about knowledge institutions. So the first question that I pose to you is, what defines a knowledge-based institution? Okay, and as Professor Rosario showed us, institutions are the basis of wealth of nations. So my question is, how governance of institutions influence in knowledge management? I think it's something that you should keep in mind. And a lot have been said about a data-driven institutions. Data is the key for knowledge, as Lena showed us. But how to measure also the tacit knowledge, not the explicit one, okay? And just a brief, I'll talk about my institution. We're talking about institutions, the institutions that I worked for 23 years from now. Is the BNDES, the Brazilian Development Bank, which this year is celebrating this 70th anniversary, 70 years. So it's an old institution for Brazil. Brazil is a young country. So it's an old institution for Brazil, and it's a bank. It's a bank. So what bank do? They lend money to others. But as a knowledge institution, we should do much more than that. And that's what I believe that BNDES do. They deliver much more than money, than lending money. They deliver knowledge. How we do that? First, creating knowledge inside. I mean, people, the workers has to have the tacit knowledge. And we do that. We invest a lot in persons, in our the people that work with us. But besides that, when we lend money, and especially we lend money for projects, big projects in Brazil, we try to influence the project, and we try to deliver some knowledge about the project. So we have people there that are specialized in different sectors of economy. And as you know, my friends from NCP know, we develop intangible methodology to evaluate the intangible of projects and companies that we finance. So we also try to deliver that knowledge when we lend money. So in conclusion, I think, I believe that I can say that we are, as a development bank, a knowledge institution. And I'm very proud of that. But we have a challenge that I will pose to you too. And then I finish the introduction. How to keep that knowledge? We saw here that the world is changing a lot, digitalization. How to keep the tacit knowledge and continues being a knowledge economy, continues being a learning institution. Okay, so as Lida put a lot of questions, I hope you have a great conversation here. I think the first one is Pedro to present. So Pedro, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Very good, Elena. So we'll try to do our best answering to your unexpected questions. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure for me to be this afternoon with you and to have this opportunity to explain, to present what Leitat Technological Center is doing, how we are organized, and which kind of activities we developed in favor of the society. Right. So thank you also for the organizers of this conference, so particularly the New Club of Paris and also the Col·legi d'Economistes de Catalunya, and of course also the supporting sponsors like Creació and Exit. I was told to start this debate, this panel, by presenting a little bit our activities and our institution. Also, I will do that. And possibly throughout my presentation, I will answer some of your questions, but if not at the end, of course, we will continue with the questions. Right, I will try to put my presentation in the screen. I think that is not shared. So Julia, if you can help me, because I am not an expert in Zoom. Okay. First of all, we need to diminish. Moment. Then we will share this one. Okay. I per passar la... Sí. Bueno, no, ara tens que clicar-ho davant. Sí, això ho podríem fer petit com abans. Sí, no recordo com ho ha fet ell, però... Aquí, ocultar. Ocultar. Bueno, de vídeo, sí, ocultar. No, control de reunió. O control, no, sí. Ara cliques aquí. No? No yet. Para, per passar. Per passar, en principi hauria de funcionar això. Sí. Vale, aquest. Oh, okay. Okay, right. Thank you, Julia. So what about Leitat? Leitat, we are a technological center. Exactly, technological center for those who have not a clear idea of what we do. We are partners for industries and companies and other kind of entities in their innovation processes, in their technological innovation processes. So we conduct research, we do research, applied research, and the maturity level of our technological research lines are positioned in between what we call the basic research, which is done predominantly by universities and research centers, and what the companies itself they do, because their research lines are always very close to the application, to the real application, which means to the market. So we are in the middle between technological research centers and universities and the market and the companies. So this is the kind of applied research that we do in favor, of course, of our clients and the society. In our case, Leitat was established 120 years ago, close to 120 years ago, in Terrassa. Terrassa is a small town located at 40 kilometers far from Barcelona. And in that moment, at the beginning of past century, it was a very rich, a very flourish area with the textile industry. Textile industry was important in Catalonia. Nowadays, it's not a flourish industry because, as you probably know, these kind of industries were moved to other emerging countries, but not in the Western Europe. And some companies pertaining to this activity founded LEITAT in order to have a center developing technology and developing interesting activities to support their companies, right? As you can imagine, over the time, LEITAT changed dramatically. LEITAT today has nothing to do with LEITAT at the beginning. You know that for a company or for an institution to last for more than a century, longer than 100 years, is required to adapt, to transform itself in order to survive, in order to continue living. And that is what the LEITAT did in the past and continue doing. So today we are a completely different center that LEITAT was at the beginning of last century. We are a private organization, non-for-profit organization. And as you will see in our mission statement, because our mission statement gives some notes very in line with what the previous speakers of this panel have been talking. We have in our mission statement, as I said, the word sustainable value is in our definition, and it's not prepared because I am attending this conference today. This is in our website and is a mission statement that was debated and was defined years ago. And also that this kind of value, of course, that we need to provide to our customers and to our partners economic value, but our value is not only economic, because you will see that we also include social, environmental, and industrial value together with economical value. This is why we do not only collaborate with companies and industry, but also many of our projects are developed for public entities or institutions related to the public sector. In many cases, public entities participate in the consortiums that develops the projects. So I would like to emphasize that, because not only private companies, industries, but also we work many times for public sectors, local, regional, or national entities, which are interested also in test new technologies, apply new technologies for the different challenges that we will see in the coming slides, right? I talk first to the team because as an intellectual capital organization, and the most important for us are the human resources, are the people. People is the most important in our organization. At present, our ecosystem is formed by approximately 500 persons, 500 employees. We have a female proportion, is not in this slide, slightly higher than a male proportion, is 52-48. More women than men. And as you will see in these percentages, of course, we have a very high proportion of university graduates. 1/4 of our team has a PhD in diverse scientific areas and fields or engineering fields. But what we move and what we have in our payroll is high skilled people and high skilled professionals from many different specialties and sectors. We have a young average age, because 37 average age is young, providing that, of course, that we recruit continuously young people coming mainly from recent graduates from universities, but still we also have a senior scientist who leads the different laboratories and who leads the different projects. Right. In terms of location, this is not important, but only to show to you that we have several different locations. Of course, the headquarters and Some labs are located in Terrassa, in this town located near Barcelona. We have 4 different locations in the Barcelona city, and some others in another town in the center of Catalonia, and another in a hospital located in Valencia in the south of Spain. It depends on the type and the activity of the laboratory where the location is. So in this slide, I try to show some indicators of one of our major activity, which is the project development, right? So it's important to remark that, for example, in the recent finished Horizon 2020 European Commission call that lasted for 10 years, we have been the 3rd Spanish institution, so receiving more grants and more projects from the European Commission. In total was more than 125 different projects from this call, right? And also from the Spanish different institutions, some of them linked to the Spanish Ministry of Economy. We also receiving grants, which are also used in partnership with our customer base, with our clients, industries, and companies. So these are only key figures about the projects that we developed. But we will see later that we not only develop projects, research projects, innovation projects, but we also conduct at the present other kind of activities in order to transfer, in order to generate knowledge from our research, but also to transfer the research, the results of our research and our knowledge to transfer efficiently to the customers, to the different companies and institutions that we work for. Of course, and also to show that we are involved in trying to solve, because these are important challenges and not easy to be solved, but we try to focus our attention and focus our efforts to solve the major challenges that the society at the present moment have. And I would say that these are global challenges for all countries and for all nations in the world. No? You will see that we try to develop projects, for example, linked with the climate change or the resource scarcity. We work also in developing technologies and systems to have more green energy. And of course, many projects involving health and medicine and biomedicine. And of course, technologies linked in the industry 4.0, because always we try to follow what the society and what our customers, companies and industry requires from us. So we are not offering only what we have in our laboratories and what we have, let me say, in our catalog. What we try to do is to adapt ourselves to the requirements, to the needs of the society and to the needs to the company. Right. We work for many different economical sectors. Here in this slide, you will see some of the major sectors, some from the automotive industry to the energy, but also many companies related with chemistry and materials, cosmetics, veterinary, but also with hospitals and with the health system and the pharmacy companies. So our spectra of sectors is very broad, because many of them requires technologies, and we requires the knowledge of our scientists and our laboratories. We do not do that alone. It's very evident today that collaboration is key in order to get efficient results. And we usually collaborate with many other participants, with many other partners. In some cases, because sharing knowledge is the best way in order to achieve the results, as I said. No? So we partner with universities, other technological centers, research centers, institutions, and of course, with companies from different specialties. And this slide is to show that, of course, research and development projects, publicly financed or privately financed, is one of the major of our activity, but also we conduct other kind of activities. as for example, testing and certification in some specific areas that I will not now explain to save time, but also we are committed with entrepreneurship and with startups. So we also provide incubation services also to some specific kind of startups. And we have also some internally generated spin-offs that we tried also to support and to develop. And we have also some patents, some of them also licensed to other companies, who, as an instrument also to transfer the knowledge, our own knowledge to the companies. And in some cases, centers of excellence is that in some cases we have established long-term joint agreements. So we are delegated as the innovation or research center for a specific company, and that we developed on a long-term basis research work for those companies. And finally, not to take too long time, this is today how we have organized the major areas of our activity. So we have 4 major areas, which are health and biomedicine, circular economy, energy and engineering, applied chemistry, and materials. So within these 4 major areas, the several laboratories and the scientists and engineers are grouped, but they collaborate intensively. So not for pertaining to a particular area, you cannot collaborate with the other, because many projects have to be conducted by a combination of scientists from different specialties, right? And together with that, we have also a technology services department, which is a testing unit, particularly in 3 areas: in chemistry, for the textile industry, and for the automotive industry. And very linked and very close to those executive departments is promotional management and project management department, who is in charge of making all the project management from previously to the definition of a project up to the end of those projects. And we work all together, right? So I will finish here my presentation, and possibly some of your questions have been already answered, but the others could be answered afterwards during the debate. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Pedro. I don't know if I'm very informal, but I think Brazilians are more informal. Great presentation. With I really like and love it that in your second slide, you talk about people. And if I may quote you, you put that people are the most important, are the priority. And that's great. We are talking about here reports and integrated report and kind of reports. And sometimes we see the employees and the people at the end of the report. You put it at front. So it's really something that I would like to stress here. And also the sustainability that I believe you that it's in your mission. So it really has in common with our agenda here. And I think we have the opportunity here to explore more during the questions, the knowledge-based institution, and maybe the data-driven, because I can see for what you showed here that there is a lot of knowledge that you support. And to support knowledge, you must have the knowledge and inside the institutions. So I will pass the floor for the next guest here, which is Mr. Roger. So thank you, the floor is yours.
Okay, let me check if I can put this on. I need to share the
screen. And that's it. First of all, thank you, Elena. Thank you, College d'Economistes and New Club of Paris for the invitation for participating in the session. And I will try to explain shortly what I think that it's a quite unusual and atypical research system across Europe. This system was set up about 20, maybe 25 years ago by Professor Mascolell. And he found out a way to start up a new way to deal with research institutions, just going beyond the traditional one, the traditional ones that are the universities. So I think that his idea was really clever at that moment. And after 20 years, I will try to show up the success of the model. And I think that we can talk about some of the ideas that you mentioned at the beginning. Of course, institutions, people, data. I think that you will see that some of that issues also appear here in this presentation. The model is basically some kind of a confederated system, not in the way that like the Fraunhofer or the Max Planck system in Germany. That's different. That are independent institutions, independent foundations in this case. Right now there are 41. All of them are evaluated every 4 years, internationally evaluated. And the process of evaluation, it's we can talk later about that because it's not traditional. All that institutions have their own scientific advisory board that talks and deals about the quality of the scientific knowledge generated in that institutions, but our evaluation goes beyond that point. We talk about impact. We talk about how they manage their own human resources, how they transfer the knowledge to the society. So we are trying to deal with all that kind of additional issues. In fact, we are developing a new image, and soon, probably the next weeks, we will have 4 new mottos, and I will just point the second one, impact. I think that's one of the most important issue to deal in the short future. Of course, innovation, community, we are talking about relationship, people. And I like to show this graph of the regional or European innovation scoreboard, because normally right here in Catalonia, we always appear not bad, but not so good. We are just in the pale yellow, and we should appear, in my opinion, just in a better position. And probably the situation is due that the way that's calculated this scoreboard, there are a lot of things related with that. But what we can do from the research and what's our situation related with all that kind of indicators. And I think that we are not so bad. I think that from the research centers in Catalonia, I think that we can say that we are a good actors. We need to push much more, of course, with l'Etat, with Eurecat, with other actors, with the universities. We have a good university system in Catalonia anyway. But let's talk about the figures, and that's our figures, okay? Almost 15,000 people working in our research centers. Of them, about 1/3 are people that comes from other institutions. I mean, there are professors from university that teach at the university, but the research and the tech transfer activity is done in our institutes. There are people that's hired externally, internationally, and there are people from CSIC, and there are people from other institutions. Of that bunch of people, about 8,000 something are researchers. And we are not an exception in Europe. We are just suffering the same scissor effect that we are just facing all around Europe. In the beginning of the research career, there is a big female presence in our predocts, even in after the PhD assignment. But then when we are facing the R3 and R4, I mean the senior and junior researchers, the numbers are lowering. We are not so bad. I mean, 46% of female presence in postdocs and seniors and junior researchers are not so bad. And one of the indicators that's related with the regional innovation scoreboard is the PhD students, the number of PhD students. And while the PhD studies are done at universities, some of the PhDs are shared with the universities. And we have 2,000 PhD students, and almost half of them come from foreign countries. So we are a system that attracts talent for all over the world. Okay. Science, knowledge generation. We're talking about knowledge. We are a great knowledge generator. That's not a usual figure that we provide, because for us it's not so important. It's important to publish. Of course, we publish a lot. We publish with international collaboration. 63% of our papers are international collaboration, and 46% are female. They have a female participation. So almost near the 50%. Highly cited papers, top 10% of each area. And I want to focus just on the last numbers. Almost 30% with collaboration with companies. So the papers are not academic, pure academic. There are 30%, there is a true collaboration with private companies in order to provide this kind of research. And 11% of that papers are led by our institutes. So I think that we are not so bad. What about the presence of our institutes in Europe? That are figures of the European program, the close figures of the H 2020. In this program, we were the 5th system in Europe. So the first one was CNRS in France. The second one was the Atomic Institution also in France, the CIA. The third one was the Max Planck Institute. The fourth one was the Fraunhofer Institute. 5 was CERCA. 6 was Oxford, and all around Oxford and Cambridge. I think that just for a reference, the CEC, that's the institute that the national institute that covers all the research around Europe, centralized in Madrid, appears in the 9th position. So I think that we are very well positioned in H 2020. As my colleague said, we have an extremely good presence in projects, more than 1,100 projects, and 450 leader projects. So that's also an interesting figure, because you can traction the system, the research, the knowledge in some directions. We have also extremely good ERC grantees results. We have more than 200 ERC grantees, and that means 50% of the grantees that comes to Catalonia comes to one of our institutes. Okay. Catalonia got much more than 50 or 55% of all the ERC grantees of Spain. So it's really an incredible figure. And the return is more than 500 million euros. So I think that are good figures. And what's about our funding? Our budget for all the institutes is about 530 million annually. Generalitat de Catalonia puts around 24%, 132 million euros. 0 euros come from Spain. So that all the money, all the public money comes from the Generalitat de Catalunya, from the Catalan government. And then we have a good, extremely good figures in non-competitive funding. That means funding that comes from contracts from companies, basically. 85% comes from foreign companies. So we have a problem right here, and we have talked with Joan a lot of times because we have a lot of impact with foreign companies, but we are not creating impact on our local companies. Okay, maybe because there is a huge difference because for the kind of companies that we have in Catalonia and the companies that you can have in Germany or in France or in other companies, in other countries. We also have an extremely powerful tech transfer. I mean, all that knowledge, it's not just based on publishing papers in the best magazines. We try to unstock all that knowledge and transferring to the society, basically through companies and any other mechanism, as we will see. We have a good figures on patent families and on extensions. And what for me it was probably one of the most impressive figure is that 43% of licensed patents. So we are not patenting for academic purposes. We are patenting for licensing. I think that figure is really, really impressive. And that's the new holy grail. I mean, I think in Europe, I mean, we have discovered that if the companies cannot absorb the knowledge, maybe it's a good idea to create your own companies in order to absorb this kind of knowledge and create an industry and develop all about generating impact on the society, generating a good level of working load and generating good working places. We have created in these years 180 deep tech companies, some of them in B and C rounds. So they have been growing constantly and in a good shape. We have closed companies, we have sold companies. So it's not, this has nothing to do with the traditional science. I mean, we are just pushing the science beyond the traditional limits. And concerning that idea of transferring, of having some impact on the society, we have just a small patent fund that help us to identify technologies and to offer the companies new technologies. And the middle one, it's a really interesting initiative, I think, because it's the first time that we have had a catalog of all of our, well, a good percentage of our facilities. That facilities are high-end technology with people that manage that technology. And they have services for companies. They have accredited services. I mean, they have ISOs, they have all that kind of accreditation, homologation that that facilities needs to work with companies. So it's a new window that we are opening for relation with our industries, especially in our territory, but also going beyond that. And that's all for me in this moment. I think that later on we can talk about the issues that you raised at the beginning, and I think that we can add some light to that questions that you have. Let me check. Sorry. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Roger. Very good presentation. And Taka, before was saying about the storytelling of a company, and it was a great storytelling, the way that you presented. And if I may say, there is a common point here. I think we are looking at the people you're quoting. People is the key element. So we could see it in the both presentations. And I was wondering that we talk about institutions here and how deep, and CERCA has a lot of institutions. So if it's difficult to manage it, one knowledge institution, it must be much more difficult to manage a group of knowledge institutions. So thank you very much and congratulations. Okay, so I'll call the next guest is Juan Romero. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Elena, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Julia, for the invitation, and thank you to the new Club of Paris. I won't talk about what we do at Acció. I will talk about what does the government do to evaluate, to improve their strategies through data, through knowledge. So my presentation, I will separate three different parts. I will talk first about the government, the Catalan government. Later, I will talk about our agency, how we develop knowledge. I always say that we are a learning organization. We create knowledge and we consume knowledge. And then I will give some examples of some policies that we have changed or improved through using this data, this knowledge in our organization. So going very briefly through the approach that the government does. The government strongly believes that using data, increasing knowledge can improve policies and so can improve the quality of life of citizens. And okay, that's a good approach, but how we go into the details with that. The government decided that any investment that the government does above 10 million euros has to have an ex-ante evaluation on its impact. So any kind of project that we do above 10 million euros, we have to prepare a lot of information. With this information, the government can analyze if it's worth or not to invest this amount of money in this kind of project. Another thing that the government did was the creation of the Interdepartmental Public Policy Evaluation Commission 3 years ago. This commission ensures the global planning of the government and the global evaluation of the resources that the government gives to different kind of policies. And the third one is that the government also fosters some organizations that evaluate how the government develops its activity. So we created, for instance, one organization that is called Evalua, and Evalua evaluates different departments of the government and evaluates their programs, their impacts, so they can give information to the government to improve the analysis. Acció, we strongly believe that this is very positive, but it's not enough. In our case, we go very much further. In fact, we were created as a result of an analysis. Previously, we were two different agencies. We were one agency that it was called CDEM, that mainly worked in innovation and foreign investment attraction, and COPCA, another organization that was focused on internationalization of the Catalan companies. We had an analysis that said, we think that you have the same customers. We think that you can have a crossover to this kind of companies. We strongly believe that if a company can be internationally relevant, it has to be innovative. But if a company wants to be innovative, it has to be connected globally. So it makes sense that you go together. We did a research and we analyzed a lot of information. We only found two different studies, one in the UK and another in the US, that said that this approach was a good approach. But nobody, any country, didn't have this approach, and there were no agencies having these different fields together in the same organization. We were the first. So we were born with this idea of being a knowledge-driven organization. We do a lot of things in Action. So we do cluster policy, we help innovation, technology transfer, the startup ecosystem, internationalization, foreign investment. So we deal with my colleagues today and work together in this support to the ecosystem. But we do some things that we believe it's very important. For instance, we value the impact of our activities. So we analyze some things that are easier. So for instance, we know for each euro that we invest in our offices abroad, we have 40 offices all around the world. We analyze the impact, and we know for every euro that we apply to one of our offices, we achieve for Catalonia 35 euros of exports and 30 euros of foreign investment. So if a government wants to have more multinational companies in Catalonia, they know the possible impact of each euro that they apply to this kind of policy. We also analyze the impact on job creation. For us, it's the most valuable indicator. So as an agency, our main objective is to help to have a more competitive economy. But why do we need a more competitive economy? To have a much more quality of living for our people. And the first thing that we have to do is to give jobs to our society. So our first indicator is job creation. We help to create 10,000 jobs per year. So it's a good figure. We are a big team, and we were talking about teams, and we have a very good team. We are about 300 people here in Barcelona, and we have around 200 people all over the world, so 500 people. It's a big organization for a regional agency. But the question is, I will talk about knowledge, and Elena asked us, what do you do to keep knowledge? The problem is not keeping knowledge, it's keeping talent, because there are some ways to keep the knowledge that the agency generates. So we have different methodologies to keep this knowledge, but the problem is that the talent moves. And talent, it's the main competitive driver nowadays. So for me, we have to talk a lot about talent. And now, let me give me some examples of things that we have done. The first that I would like to talk is about the barometer of innovation. The official public indicators on innovation are not enough for us and are not good for us. Why? There are many reasons. The first one is the delay. The official data comes very late. It's not useful for public policies. So, for instance, the investment on R&D of 2022 will come 2 years later. It's too late for us to do a better policy. The second thing is that it's not right. It's not a good information. And it's not good information because of two different things. The first thing, it's related of not being a capital city. And let me explain. In Sant Cugat del Vallès, close to Barcelona, we have HP investing every year 100 million euros on R&D. And these millions doesn't account to Catalonia. They apply to Madrid because the headquarters of the company are in Madrid, not in Catalonia. But the R&D is done in Catalonia. So when we see the map that Roger has shown about the regional innovation scoreboard, okay, we are far from what we have to be, but there are some lacks of information that maybe with this information, we will be in a higher position. And the second problem that we have with the official indicators about innovation is that they don't show intangibles. They only show tangibles. And the major part of innovation is in the intangible side. So what we do if we have only a part that it's not the big part of the information? So some years ago, maybe it was 10 years ago, we decided to create a new barometer on innovation that it can give us quick information, fair information about the situation. And for us, it's very useful, this kind of tool that we have. We analyzed, I can say, maybe 200 different surveys about innovation done all around the world. We analyzed a lot of academic paper, and we decided to create this new barometer that it's very useful for us and has helped us to define new tools or improve some tools that we have to help innovation. The second example that I will give is about our sector and technology reports and business directories. So we consume information and we share information. For us, it's very important also that the Catalan companies to use good information to improve their decisions. So it's not only having knowledge to improve our policies, it's also using knowledge to improve business decisions. So we prepare a lot of information, very detailed. So for instance, Julià mentioned before that we were recognized as the best investment promotion agency by the FDI. If you want to track a multinational company, we can think a cybersecurity company. You cannot go to this company and telling about the general innovation ecosystem of Catalonia. You have to talk about cybersecurity, which are the players, which are the results, which are the specialists, the people in Catalonia that are specialists on this specific area. So we needed to have this kind of information. And we prepared a team able to have this kind of information. So some years ago, we were the first agency in Spain, and maybe I can say in Europe, in having a specific unit called Strategy and Competitive Intelligence Unit. That was in the private sector, but 10 years ago, nobody in the government had something similar, and it was very important. So this team prepared this kind of things, and they are a very specialist team. That's why I'm worried about talent, because their knowledge, what they generate, the way they analyze this kind of things, we keep it, but if the people move, they have to take more time to be, let's say, quickly responding to the needs that we have. And just to close, 2 examples more. The assessment programs that we do. We analyze the different programs that we develop. And for instance, we have improved the cluster policies. If you take a look, we have been dealing with cluster policies for 30 years. And if you compare the policy that we have nowadays and the one that we started, are completely different. We started thinking in clusters that were very local driven clusters and very specific in the product. Now we have broader clusters talking about Catalonia, not a specific village in Catalonia, and talking about customers, not products. So we have the kids cluster. We don't have the games cluster. We have the kids cluster, and everything related to kids, it can be health, it can be some kind of products, are analyzed together. So it's a big change, and it's a result of the analysis. And the R&D cluster programs, we have seen that one of the biggest results on the R&D programs are on a call that we stopped to do some years ago. So we decided to keep it back And one of the biggest, let's say, bets of the government is in this program nowadays. And the last one, opening new offices. I told you before that we have 40 offices. We don't have a goal of having 50, 60. Our goal is to have the offices that we need for our Catalan companies. If we need 30, we will close 10. If we need 50, we will open 10. So what we do is an analysis of intensity. We analyze the intensity of the Catalan exports, keeping in mind our size, keeping in mind the kind of companies that we have and sectors that we have in Catalonia. And we analyze what are our results compared to other countries all around the world. So we can know if in which markets we have a better performance and in which markets we have a worse performance. So for instance, our biggest performance, not in volume, but in intensity, is in Morocco. 7 times bigger than the usual result. But we have other markets that we have to improve, although we export a lot, for instance, United States. So one of the results was that we had to have more presence in United States. We have 4 offices in United States. We had Miami, we have New York, we have Washington, we have Silicon Valley. And we did an analysis to analyze where we had to open a new office. And we thought it should be Chicago in Michigan, because it's a part completely different than the parts that we have offices. But we start a good analysis on that. And the result was not to open in Chicago, but in Texas. And then we analyzed where in Texas we had to open our office. And the result, it wasn't the typical, it was Austin. And we opened the office in Austin, the new office. So it was that data-driven decision completely. So for us, it's very important. We work with public money, so we cannot decide the things because we think that or another thing. We have to give example and make a good useful of the public resources. That's why it's so important to do it as a knowledge-driven organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, a great presentation. And I was thinking about how the panel was built. We start with knowledge institution, then a group of knowledge institutions, and then we go to the ecosystem, the importance of having a knowledge ecosystem. And before we go to the questions, just to share with you that we have some challenges in common. I mean, I'm speaking as the Brazilian Development Bank. The first is to analyze and to evaluate the impact, because as you said, we manage public resources. So we must be very sure that we are putting the money, the resource, in the best way that we can. But I know by my experience that it's not easy to make the evaluations. We share in common too the indicator of job creations. Job creations is important for development and for everything. We share in common how to evaluate the innovation. It's so difficult because patents are a good indicator. Yes, it is, but it doesn't measure everything. R&D is a good indicator. Yes, but it doesn't measure everything. So I share with you a lot of challenges that you have. It was very interesting knowing that other institutions have the same issues. And so thank you very much, all the 3 of you. And the way that we construct the panel was, for me, it was very, very nice. And I think for the audience and people here and at home, I'm sure that they enjoy it very much. So I open here the floor for questions. If you have any questions for the audience, but do we have the microphone for? Yeah.
Sí, okay.
Maybe it's less a question than a story which you might be interested in, at least two of you. When the intellectual capital reporting movement started, it had one of its starting point in Austria. I don't know if you know it by accident. And then the idea was to have intellectual capital reporting for first-hand innovation centers, technology centers, etc. It was taken up, interestingly enough, by the National Bank. It was taken up by the National Court of Audit, for example, but mostly it was taken up by the government in inducing a law which has been implemented then for universities and also technology centers, that they have to provide every year an intellectual capital report. And the interesting story about it is that it's not, I'm not claiming that the methodology we applied at that time is a model today, because you need to modernize it. It could be a reference model for your inspiration. But the point was very interesting, that the government decided that the budget allocation for universities, for example, is correlated to the results of the progress in the intellectual capital development over the years. So every year, every 2 years, the budget is made again for the universities. And every 2 years, the universities have to demonstrate the delta of increase in intellectual capital, of course, in different dimensions. Maybe that's it's not a question, it's more or less a suggestion for discussion, because this is in the core and at the heart of the New Club of Paris, because this is about the business of the New Club of Paris to provide innovations in this direction.
Well, I can add something related with that idea. Let me say that in our case, in the CERCA Research Institute, I mentioned, we are not using the usual evaluation panel of indicators. In fact, they built some kind of narration. That means that you need to point out specific issues related with some data, of course, but what's really important is just to transfer to the expert people that are not scientifics. I mean, there are people that comes from tech transfer areas or from management or whatever. So it's not the traditional scientific evaluation. It's far beyond that. And that has been done for 12 years. 3 years ago, we started the first impact evaluation test pilot that was done in Spain, both in universities and research centers. Nobody else has done that before. And we tried to build up a first exercise related with, try to explain one success case of impact and how you can build up all that narration, all that development related with that impact. And that's really, really hard to build up, because usually the traditional way where we present our knowledge is just in a prospective way. We said we will build up a project that develop a new knowledge to get that kind of goals. And in our case, we try to do the reverse. You have some kind of impact and you need to build up the reverse, the opposite direction. I mean, when you start to deal with that impact, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I published a small paper in a small magazine that start to develop that line of knowledge that at the end has had a real impact nowadays. So that's really difficult because we have not trained the people to do that. So I think it's really important. And the other important thing is just how to start to deal and how to train the people on intellectual capital. I mean, that's pretty new. I mean, I know that only a few departments in a few universities are talking about that. But in the mainstream, nobody is talking about that. And we need to talk. It's not just about patents. It's not about people. It's not about knowledge. It's a lot of things related with that. The relationships. I mean, we are working with a lot of universities and institutions around Europe and around the world in our projects. That's not the question. We are taking care of that relationship. Are we really using that relationship or not? And that's the key question. I mean, building up that culture. And that's really difficult because we are changing, absolutely, we are changing the way we are trying to talk about knowledge, about new research, about a lot of things. And at the end, social impact, of course, and not just economic. So I think that's really important, and we are trying to push on that direction. But it's really hard. I think that, for example, our reference is always in the UK. The UK system started to deal with impact a few years ago. And yesterday they opened a new tech transfer government office. And they have present a new Rose book that talks about how we can think about how to evaluate the impact of our research. So I think that we are just on the right direction. I agree absolutely with you that we need to think about that.
It's not a question, but it was a good provocation for guys. I don't know if somebody wants to comment on that. Juan or Pedro, want to comment?
Well, I would like, following his message, I would like to comment more about the knowledge retention, or how to keep the knowledge. And I share totally with Roger that the most important is talent. What something happening that is common in the CERCA research centers and in our centers is that we have a high movement of young people. First, because we have PhD students that when finishing the PhD, they go away. And in other cases, because part of the young scientists that we hire, that we recruit, some years after leaves us. But we feel that this is also one of our missions. So we contribute to the society by training young scientists, by young engineers. So we provide these high-skilled people to the industry and to the companies that are in our region and our territory. So it's a way also to make that the ecosystem, the industrial ecosystem in Catalonia is plenty of young and very well prepared talent, and also attractive to capture also companies to be established here. So we are not so worried in talent rotation, but our challenge is where we have to invest, in which technologies we have to invest, technologies that does not depreciate in the time and that has value. Because what happens today also is that, as in many fields, things are going so quick, the research, the development, the technology develops so rapidly that many times you are investing in some technology that few years later is obsolete, is not the correct one. So we have, the challenge for us is finding the correct technologies where invest and where put our resources and our money that not suffers this obsolescence in few time.
It's not the million questions, the
No,
billion questions.
the billion
Where
questions,
to invest,
yes.
in which technology.
And going back to talent, there's another point that is happening nowadays, that assumption. No, no tengo no sé si se'm sent millor així. There's a problem with talent, that is that nowadays people can work remotely for a foreign company. So countries with less salaries can have people working in their country for companies outside the country receiving more money. So this is a special, has a special impact in some sectors, for instance, video games or so on. So this is a huge problem for the future, I think.
Yeah, there is a name that the US are using for this. It's
the big dismiss or
I don't know.
yes, but the movement that the youngs are quitting the jobs or changing or yes, it's a challenge to retain the talent.
Yes, yes, please. I would like to ask to you, any of you, if you have information about how many Catalan companies have applied for the next generation funds of the European Union. What is the situation there?
A good question and a very interesting. More or less, what I can say, it's not in number of companies. The information that I have nowadays is based on volume of grants. And I can say that the Catalan companies have received above the 20% of the resources that have been applied to Spain. But the problem is that we have a lot of calls that are not finished yet.
And the amount of money, we don't know about that.
No. I don't know the amount of money at the time. I only know the percentage.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Do we have other questions?
I have something between a question and a comment for Pedro, actually. Pedro, when we are talking about looking for the right technology to invest, does it not bring us back to the debate, the earlier debate, that we should be investing, we should have a focus on what impact is and how the technology could help us with impact instead of looking at the technology, because if the technology turns out to be obsolete within a short period of time, perhaps that was the wrong technology in the first place. So I'm thinking about Lena's presentation when she was saying it's important to know what I want to achieve before I transform digitally, before I engage in technology. So I'm thinking about, yes, the technology, the progress is fast, things become obsolete, but sometimes if we invest in the right technology for the purpose, whether we have to acquire or develop it, or I mean, pay for it to be developed, it possibly brings the results in the longer term. As long as the process that is supporting is valid, the technology should be valid. I'm trying to do a devil's advocate here, trying to understand how, because technologies become obsolete, but it doesn't mean that the fund from last year doesn't meet the requirements that it was developed for. So I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm asking a question or, but I'm trying to correlate the objectives of the investment, the objectives in technology with the focus of the impact that we're trying to make the purpose of that investment. If you, it wasn't a question, but I think I ended up.
I understand. I do agree with your comment that so when you open, for example, a new center or a new laboratory, of course, you need to give time to those people to develop their things, to do research, to have results before those results impacts into the society. That's very clear. What my comment was related not for, let me say, a big project like opening a new big line or a big laboratory. I was thinking more when you hire some new specialist in something very concrete, or you need to buy specific equipment, which is very costly, and you finally you have a limited budget of money. And the problem we have the managers of the centers is that every year we receive more demands from our team than the real money that we have to invest. So finally, there is a selection of which equipment we'll invest this year. So, and this is a difficult decision. difficult decision, because initially all the demands are good, are fruitful, are interesting, and you are open and keen to give money to all of them. But finally, there is a real situation that the money is limited, no? So you have to be very curious and you have to be very strict in saying, okay, I will put the money in those specific investments, right?
Yes, I agree. And just to add, because I asked because I work in a research institution or
Yes.
university, and sometimes the software that they acquire to support research is actually restricting the researchers to do so. You have to follow certain things instead of, so the software wasn't good in the first place. So we actually, we needed one developed for us or one that actually works for us. So it's not adapting the human resources to the technology, but actually trying to bring a technology that support the process. But yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Another question? No? So I think I will close the section here, giving a big thank to our guests here. And now I'm speaking in name of New Club of Paris. It was very, very good to listen to you. And it was very nice for us from New Club of Paris has this kind of interactions. And we have our internal meeting this morning here, and we discuss a lot of things that you bring to this section. We discuss impact, we discuss talent, we discuss knowledge management. So thank you all very much for bringing your experience. I know that you are very busy, and thank you for taking this time to come here and have this conversation with us. So thank you very much.